Okay, this is the Keystoker factory, and we're going to go over the hot water boiler controls. Okay, over here I have Dave. He's going to go over, explain the controls and the installation of it. And over here I have John, which is going to help us as well. Okay. And Dave, you want to go ahead and explain the orientation of the unit here?
Okay, to start off, this is a left-hand boiler. Anytime you purchase a boiler, the hopper end is where you stand at to decide what hand you need. So your left hand would be fire door on the left, right hand, fire door would be on the right. The stack side is always on the opposite end of the hopper where John is standing.
Okay. And the hopper side is over here where John's standing, or Dave's standing.
Yep.
Okay.
So hopper side's right here. The boiler control comes pre-wired from the factory. You will have a fusible switch with an on-off switch, 15 amp fuse, no more than 15 amps, which gets wired to two high limits. One controls your stoker, one controls your secondary blower. They are set at a 220 degree, non-adjustable, with a manual reset. When they do overheat, what will happen is these will kick off. We'll cut the stoker and cut the secondary blower. Now you cannot re-engage them until you are 20 degrees below the 220 limit, so you have to be around 200 degrees to be able to push these back in and reset them. You must troubleshoot it to see why it overheated. Don't just go and push them back in because you feel that nothing happened. There was nothing wrong. Always troubleshoot before you re-engage. And you come over here, which is our triple aquaset. We use a fuel smart hydrostat. Now you're going to see that there's three knobs. This is your economy. On coal, we always turn economy off because that will interfere with temperature of the boiler. You have your low limit, and then you have your high limit, which you want to set that at 160, 180 is the standard settings. You can adjust these to 140, 160 to lower the temperature in the summertime when you don't use heat, or if a customer feels that they want to lower the temperature a little bit more because their hot water is too hot, you can turn the low down to 120. You can turn it all the way off. We don't recommend that. We just recommend 140, 160, your lowest setting. And here you have your circulator wires, which would be C1 and C2. C1 is always your hot, C2 is always your neutral. Any point in time that you see a 1 or a 2, 1 is always your hot, 2 is all your neutral.
That's black and white.
Yes.
Black
Here,
being your hot and white being your neutral.
yes. Here you see this wire, okay? That's your temperature probe. All that is a metal probe, and there's a hole right here. Slide the probe in till you feel it bottom out. It must bottom out. If it does not bottom out, you gotta get it in there with either some kind of lubricant, and then up on top here is where it plugs in.
Now what this probe is doing is it's sliding inside the water jacket and sensing the temperature of the water inside the boiler at all times. And of course that temperature then dictates how the controls operate, if they need to turn the feeder on and feed more coal and build the temperature back up, or shut the feeder off when the temperature gets up to the setting. So,
And then up here, upper left-hand corner, you have two terminals, which is TT. Does not matter which wire goes where. Red can go here, white can go here, white can go there. It does not matter.
that ties into your thermostat.
Correct.
Okay, so your thermostat feeds in there, and it will then, basically what the thermostat does is just tell the recirc pump
Right,
when to
which
kick on
that
and
is your-
recirculate the hot water.
Yes, that is your C1 and C2.
The high-low temperature controls that we just talked about, they actually control the coal burning. They tell the feeder when to kick on and burn more coal and raise the temperature to maintain it. So the boiler water is maintained separately from the thermostat. The thermostat just determines when the hot water in the boiler is pulled out of the boiler and circulated through the house to heat it. So, okay.
Also with this control, it is a low water cutoff all in one. There is a ground inside there which, when there's no water in this system, will not allow this to engage. So you must have this system filled above this well before you can go and engage this control.
So it's a safety low water limit switch that'll shut everything off if
Yes.
the water level gets too low, rather than generate heat and so forth.
Correct. Now,
Okay.
up here we have, these are the 3 wells that will be coming in the tub. You're gonna notice there's 2 of the same and 1 different. The 2 of the same are for your high limits. Does not matter which one goes where, just as long as they're in the 2 3/4 inch holes.
They're for these limits right here.
Yep. So there's gonna be 2 3/4 inch ports behind there.
The 2 short ones go in here. Of course, you want to put Teflon tape on the threads, and then these limits attached to a bracket that sits on the end of the nipples that you
Yep.
put in.
And there's 2 screws on each side that all you're gonna do is you're gonna slide these over. When you loosen these up, they're gonna be adjustable. Slide it over that nipple, let it slide down, and then just tighten those screws up, and that'll tighten that right up for you.
Okay.
Now, this is gonna be for the hydrostat.
Which is this guy right
Yes,
here.
you cannot use this for your hydrostat. You must use this for the low water cutoff option. So, from there,
Dave, show them where the screw comes up underneath
okay,
to attach the black box or the hydrostat
which would be
to the nipple.
1/4 inch nut driver, and there's going to be actually 2 places that you can mount this. And with the pre-wired setup, we use the center hole, which would be underneath here, and there's a 1/4 inch nut driver that you use to turn these bolts in, and you can just tighten it, and then you go and you level that. That's all you got to do to tighten that.
Okay. All right. Anything else?
Now we'll come over to the timer. The timer always gets mounted onto your hopper. The reason why we always mount it to the hopper is because you have your unit, which has a junction box on it, and you're gonna have wires in there just like this. Be a 14 gauge wire, and you're gonna come straight out of the bottom, and you're gonna have your white, your black, and your red, which you're gonna be color coded. Red will go to red, black will go to black, and white will go to white. This will be your neutral for your motors on your unit. This will be for your secondary blower that runs all the time. And then the red wire is your stoker wire, which only runs when there's either a timer call or a feed call from the aquastat.
Okay, so you got to knock out one of these knockouts.
Yes.
You got to knock out one of these knockouts and run the wire down through
Straight
that
down.
into the junction box that
Yep.
sits down below. Okay.
Now, there's going to be adjustments that you can do to fine tune your unit. They come factory set to run every 15 minutes for 45 seconds. You can either add time or take time away, need be. Say you're overheating in the summertime, you're going to want to take some time away from running every 15 minutes. So instead of changing every 15 minutes, you want to change the seconds. And on the left hand side here, you're going to see on time, and you're going to see off time on the right hand side. Now there's going to be differences between on and off. The off time are done by minutes, the on time is ran by seconds. So anytime that you go and you switch any of these switches, okay, left or right, they're going to be 2 different ones. It's not going to be seconds on both sides. So again, right is minutes, left is seconds. So here we have numbers on the bottom, numbers on the top. In the tub, you will get a manual explaining what numbers that we recommend having up, which here you're going to see 6, 5, 4, and 3. Okay, on the bottom, you're going to have the numbers 16, 8, 4, and 2, which are all going to equal up to 45 seconds. Now, in the summertime, say you have a problem with it overheating, what you'll do is you'll take number 3 terminal, push it down, and go to number 2 terminal, which is 2 seconds, push that up, and that will knock 2 seconds off the time. So, if you still can't achieve it, that it's not overheating, what you'll do is knock down the 8 and add some time with 1, 2, and 3. So you can fine tune these to however you want. We don't recommend adjusting the coal feed, because if you adjust coal feed in the wintertime, you won't get your full potential out of the burn, because it won't feed enough coal to give you that 2 inches of ash that we expect. Now over here we have the minutes. Same thing. We have the minutes that are located on the bottom, and here we have it for every 15. So say you want to do every 10, what you would do is just flip these switches down, and then you're going to flip up 5 and 2, which would 8 and 2 would be 10, would be your 10-minute mark.
Okay, so when he refers to on, that's the seconds that the feeder is on, feeding coal to maintain the fire so it doesn't go out. And the off is the amount of time that the feeder is off so it doesn't keep feeding coal continuously. Okay, very good. Now, we didn't mention this earlier, but this box here actually gets mounted on the green jacket that goes around the boiler. And it's a 110 volt system. The whole boiler runs on 110 volts. And like Dave mentioned earlier, there's a fuse in there to protect the circuitry. If there'd be a short or something would ground out, then you'd lose your fuse. Your fuse would pop. So, okay. Anything else, guys?
That's about it.
All right. Okay. The openings you see here, the little opening is your opening to look at your burner to see what the kind of fire you have on your burner. To start the stove, you put your charcoal or your starter cup in there on the burner, cover it up with coal, and start it. The big door you see down there in the bottom is your ash door. That's where you pull your ash tub out periodically. Okay? Thanks a lot, guys.